we need to get straight to London. Juliana Olayinka is angling to get into this big story. Andrew Bailey is now the governor of the Bank of England. He'll be replacing Mark Carney, whose term expires in January. Juliana, good morning. Hit the ground running.
Good morning, Bosun. Well, yes, Sajid Javid, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, has just finished his press conference announcing Andrew Bailey as the new Bank of England governor, a highly coveted job, I must say. Of course, last night you even hinted at it. A lot of the press had picked up on the highly anticipated speculation that he would take over. Andrew Bailey is currently the head of the Financial Conduct Authority, which is a watchdog regulator that just looks into how financial banks and insurers are taking care of people's money. When Sajid Javid announced his appointment, he did say that Andrew Bailey is one of the most respected financial regulators, not just in Britain, in the entire world. He's 60 years old. He has previously been at the Bank of England for 30 years. He only just left 3 years ago to take over his top job. So it's definitely seen as somebody who knows the system, understands Britain's finances, and is going to be parachuted in. The only difference to the takeover is that it's no longer going to be the 31st of January. The new date is March the 16th, and Mark Carney has agreed to allow that extra long transition period so that things can be a smooth transition, particularly considering Britain is in a pretty chaotic state at the moment. So, of course, Mark Carney, he's been there for 6 years. He will leave, I would say, with a pretty decent tenure. Of course, it did start a little bit rocky in the beginning, but I remember just after the Brexit referendum in 2016, the piece to camera, the press conference he gave when everybody thought it was doom and gloom was really a kind of textbook schooling in how a financial governor should really handle a financial crisis, and that's exactly what he has done. Mark Carney, some say he is a little bit controversial, seemed to be more focused on the anti-Brexit sentiment. Boris Johnson and others thought that he was trying to add a little bit of doom and gloom. So even when it came to picking his predecessor, he's the next Bank of England governor, a lot of people were saying that some people were asked about their stance on Brexit, and if you were too left-leaning, you were out, because of course we thought that Minouche Shafuk, yes, the head of the LSE, was the top runner, but Andrew Bailey has been appointed, and there's a lot of work that he's got to do.
Interesting scenario there, and I really appreciate the timeline here, which you explained, has been moved forward of Mark Carney to leave, with the Brexit coming through January 31st, 2020, and what will be the likely and immediate fallout of that. I think it's good, makes good sense in terms of governance to ensure Andrew Bailey understands the hot waters of the BOE, see how things work out, so which means Mark Carney will superintend the first Bank of England Monetary Policy Committee meeting for 2020, and Andrew Bailey can just sit down and listen in to what is going on there and get to understand both the politics and all of that. So let's just talk about a deal or no deal, a very big voting day in Parliament here for Brexit. So who's likely voting? Is there going to be a deal or a no deal vote? What are we leading at the moment? How will the votes actually go at the Parliament? Juliana?
Well, it's definitely going to go Boris Johnson's way, but it doesn't mean that it won't face intense scrutiny. Today is the first day that MPs will really get to argue all of the bits and pieces that are in that withdrawal agreement bill, which is the document that will take Britain out of the EU. We know that there have been several changes that have been made. Why? Because Boris Johnson has got an overwhelming majority. And so before this election, he had to make sure he was pleasing all sides. He doesn't have to do that now. He's purged the Conservative Party from all the rebels, and the 80 majority that he have will indeed be voting for this bill. We know that now he's made it illegal, or he's put it into law, that there'll be no extension beyond the transition date of December the 31st, 2020. So whether or not there is a deal, we will be leaving and try to create some sort of trade arrangement with each individual member of the EU in 2021. The Labour Party, of course, is saying that this was intentional, that this is exactly what he wanted to do to put put no deal back on the cards. Another issue that's not making the headlines, but is also important, is workers' rights. A lot of people on the left were really concerned that once you leave the EU, workers' rights will go out of the window. Boris Johnson did put in the withdrawal agreement before the election that there will be a strengthening of workers' rights in the UK. That's been removed. So that's definitely going to hit people on the left. But the vote is at 1500 GMT local, which I believe is 4 o'clock in Nigeria, and it is expected to go through.
You got a busy day ahead of you, Juliana, and of course you got 1:30 check-in time with Chimezie Obiwagon Business Incorporated. Have a great day. Thank you so much, and have a nice weekend. We'll get together on a Monday here on Business Morning. Juliana Olayinka from our London studios, my colleague there. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll take a quick look at the markets this week. But we have a big story around Nigeria's budget 2020. Oh, of course, we still have budget 2019 on the streets. When are we wrapping it up? When we come back.